Hi there, I'm Ling. Welcome back to my channel. So I just want to share some thoughts on the current property market. First up, we are diving into the property prices, and then I've got a hidden gem of a new launch condo that you can consider if you're on the lookout for a smart entry price into this market. Let's go. So lately, with all the cooling measures and the not so friendly rise in interest rate, and the headline stated that the home prices have taken a dip of 0.4% after 3 years, people have been asking that if the property prices is going to drop. Now, let's get this straight. I'm here to share my thoughts on this based on what I have been seeing. So for this 0.4% drop, this is just an average of both resale and new launch condo. If you have been searching for homes via Property Guru for a while right now, you probably noticed that the resale prices are still holding strong or even higher than last year in some cases. It seems like a lot of sellers are holding on to their prices. So in this case, where does this 0.4% dip come from? So because this 0.4 is calculated based on both new launch and resale, so I think this dip is probably due to the new launches. Now let's break it down a little more. So when we look at the numbers of new launch condo transactions in Q1 versus Q2, the top 4 new launches in Q1 were commanding much higher prices as compared to Q2. Therefore, that news article about the private home prices taking a 0.4% dip in 3 years, I think this is most likely because of the lower transaction prices in new launches when you stack them up against Q1. Now, before you decide to play the waiting game for the prices to drop, let's talk about some key factors you should keep in mind. Firstly, in my personal opinion, I think that the chances of buyers getting themselves into a financial pickle and being forced to sell their property later on is quite low. One of the reasons is because we have MSR and TDSR that is in place to keep borrowing in check. According to the latest data from MAS, as of Q1 2023, the average loan-to-value ratio is 41.6%, which means that most owners are playing it safe and not messing out their borrowing capacity. Of course, this 41.6% is just an average of everything, so basically some owners may have already fully paid their property. Moreover, even if we hit a rocky economic patch, touch wood, the government has made it quite a challenge for us to own a second property right now. So what I'm trying to say is that most of us just only have one property and one roof over our head. So let's say if times do get quite bad, the chances is that we will probably try to weather the storm rather than selling and buying another property. Let's check out this graph comparing today to the late 90s. Back then, folks were really stretching themselves to their financial limits. Nowadays, only 29% are taking a higher leverage, which means that most people are pretty cautious right now. Secondly, the cost of replacement is high right now, which is why the resale volume is down. So most people are thinking, why sell now where I can't even afford to buy something else? And even if they do decide to sell, you can bet that they won't be settling for anything less because they know how high the replacement costs are right now. From a buyer's perspective, all these cooling measures have made people more cautious. They are thinking, I want to buy, but I'm feeling a little bit jittery about it. And you know what, I totally get it. Committing to a big purchase like this can be nerve-wracking. But here's the deal, when people are not rushing to buy, prices tend to be more stable. Just take a look at the last couple of years. Let's look at this graph. During the COVID period, when people are jumping into the property market, prices shot up. But for now, buyers being more cautious and fewer people making moves, prices are rising in a more relaxed and slower pace. So what is the bottom line? If you are on a hunt for a new home right now, remember this, when people are not rushing in to buy, that's when you might stumble a good opportunity. So don't be afraid to go against the grain. Historically, individuals who have made purchases during market downturn have seen an increase in transaction prices over time. Moving on to the second part of this video, I'm going to share a hidden gem in the West that I think has good potential. And this hidden gem is the Myst. Please note that if you're watching this video a year from now, some of the information that I'm sharing may no longer apply, but it can just serve as a valuable lesson for making a smarter real estate decision in the future. In terms of transportation, the Myst is just a 5-minute walk from Cashew MRT station and a 5-minute drive to the BKE leading to the PIE. And what's so special about Cashew MRT station is that it's the only MRT line in Singapore that offers interchanges to all the MRT lines. This means that you have easy access to the current CBD and the future second CBD via the same line. For families with kids, the Myst strategic location allows your children to travel conveniently to various schools. So from a location perspective, if you're looking for something new and close to an MRT station, the Myst offers excellent connectivity to amenities. Now, let's talk about the entry price. As of now, I think that the developer has yet to increase the prices yet, since only about 36% of the unit has been sold so far. So for some buyers, they often like to wait for the best deals and discounts to appear and hoping that the developer will start dropping the prices later on. However, the likelihood of developer dropping their prices is kind of low because it wouldn't be fair for those who took action earlier. In fact, most developers often start increasing the prices after a certain percentage of the units are sold, following a price staging strategy. This can actually benefit those who purchased earlier, as buyers who come in later on will purchase at a higher price than the rest who bought it earlier. So instead of waiting for a discount to happen, buying before the price increase can give you an advantage provided you choose the right project. So why do I think the Myst entry price is safe at this point? One of the reasons is that there will be a new Myst development coming up, and here's a land plot, which I don't expect the entry price to be lower than the Myst. This development will most likely bolster the property prices around the area, giving the Myst buyer an advantage over future launches. Furthermore, Dairy Farm isn't far away from the Myst, with 7 more future land plots coming up in the vicinity. Well, I can't guarantee that all of them will launch at higher prices than the Myst, but with the rising construction costs and high interest rate environment, I don't think it will be cheap as well. If the land bids are higher, the Myst could become undervalued. Plus, the Myst is so much closer to the MRT station, which I think is a better buy. Now, let's do a little price comparison between the Myst and one of the latest new launches in that area, which is the Botany. If we look at the recent transactions for a 3-bedroom unit on the 5th floor, you will find that the current selling price for a 3-bedroom unit of the same size at the Myst is actually more affordable than the one in the Botany. And the buyers have already accepted this higher price at the Botany. This makes the Myst even more appealing considering that the Myst enjoys a more strategic location. Now let's explore the supply-demand dynamic within the 500-meter radius of the Myst. Currently, the neighboring condos are actually quite old, and by the time the Myst reaches its TOP, which is about 2027, these older condos will be at least 20 years old by then. And this positions the Myst as a newer star in the area. From my observations, I think that buyers tend to be more emotionally inclined to newer developments. Sometimes when I show buyers older condos, they often express dissatisfaction with the condition and often describe them as rundown. And if the price gap is not that huge, they often lean more towards newer developments because they have a more efficient layout, just like the Myst. For instance, looking at this Cashew Heights 3-bedder unit, it's actually more expensive than the 3+ study units at the Myst because it has a larger floor area. Older condos typically offer more space, but newer condos often have a more efficient layout. So when you compare the layout of these two condos, they are pretty much the same. Same as Cashew Heights 3-bedder unit, the Myst offers 3 proper bedrooms, a kitchen, a yard, a home shelter, and a flexi study room. So you will still get all the rooms you need, just that the layout is more compact and efficient. Well, the Myst is slightly more compact, but it's definitely newer than the rest of the condos nearby, which means that you can save some money on renovations. Also, all the facilities and amenities at the Myst will be brand new, and what's even better is that when you compare both the same type units, the Myst is actually cheaper than Cashew Heights. So in this scenario, the Myst versus the older condos nearby, I definitely think that the Myst is a more value buy in terms of quantum because it's much cheaper than the older condos, plus it's newer and more visually appealing in terms of facilities. Therefore, I think that if the owners at the Myst decided to sell their unit later on in the market, I think that it will give them an advantage because firstly, it's brand new. Secondly, in terms of quantum, it's not much different from the older condos nearby. Especially in today's high interest rate environment, opting for a new launch condo can help you save on interest payments. And this is due to the progressing payment scheme. Let's crunch on some numbers to give you a better understanding of why the Myst is a worthwhile consideration in the area. For instance, purchasing a 3-bed study unit at the Myst would cost about $2.4 million with a down payment of about $699K inclusive of BSD and legal fees. Since it's on a progressive payment scheme, your monthly repayments start at around $600 and slowly increases as the TOP date approaches. Now, let's compare this to the resale prices at the cashew heights. For a property price at $2.68 million, you will need a down payment of about $776K, inclusive of BSD and legal fees. On top of that, monthly repayments will kick in immediately with a 4% interest rate right now, and the monthly repayment would be about $9.5K per month. Comparing these two examples, I personally think that a new launch will be a better buy due to the lower initial costs. From an investment perspective, you could even sell it after TOP if the market is favorable. Otherwise, you can always hold on to it and rent it out until you achieve your desired selling price. For buyers looking for own stay, the lower down payment due to the efficient layout can save you money on renovations as well. Moreover, in terms of quantum, it's already significantly lower than the nearby resale options. Furthermore, with the upcoming government land sales, I personally believe that it's relatively a safe project to enter if you're planning to stay or sell in the next 10 years. Moving on, looking at the outside central region, the market in the OCR region has already accepted prices as high as $2,513 PSF for OCR properties. Given this, I believe that it is a good opportunity to consider the Myst before the price increase further. Additionally, the Myst is developed by CDL, which is one of the most renowned developers in Singapore. They have received this Band 1 rating, indicating very low incidences of major defects in the projects they developed so far. This means that you can rest assured that you'll be getting good quality at a reasonable price. Looking at some of the CDL Track records, you will find that there are hardly any unprofitable transactions associated with their projects. So most owners were able to exit with a profit so far. Next, here is another interesting possibility to consider. Keyword here, possibility. So if one of the freehold condos in the area decides to go en bloc, which is possible since some of them are already quite old, they could potentially sell at a higher rate of at least 2004 to 2005 PSF in future. However, as I mentioned earlier, the replacement cost is really high right now, so the owners may be asking for a very high price in order to go for en bloc. Therefore, the collective sale may not go through. In the event that there's an en bloc, the developer will then take on the cost, which might then pass on to the consumer in future. So a quick disclaimer over here, I say it is possible, so it's not 100% guaranteed that it will go en bloc. But due to the economic situation and the high replacement cost, it may or may not go through within the next few years. We will see how it goes. Moving on, when we invest in a property, we often consider the future. In terms of transformation, the Myst is surrounded by ongoing developments that I personally believe will create demand in the area. And that could potentially drive up property prices as well. Additionally, there's a substantial pool of HDB upgraders in the vicinity, which could be your target audience when you're planning your exit strategy in future. Therefore, if you're in the market looking for a property in the West right now, you are in luck because you are too early in the game. As of today, the Myst is currently about 36% sold, and there's a chance to secure a unit before the prices increase further. Let's take a look at some historical data. The developer typically started raising prices after a project reached certain sales percentages. For example, at Florence Residences, prices increased after about 53% of the unit was sold, and the increase was quite substantial. Similar price hike occur after about 69% and 82% of the unit was sold at Jadescape and Park Clementes respectively. Therefore, don't miss this opportunity if you're in the market looking for a property in the West. In today's market, finding a good new project within a budget can be quite challenging. Many projects at a lower price range may not be the wise investment choices right now. The fortunate thing is that the Myst, being a promising project, falls within these price ranges, making it a compelling option. In summary, the Myst is the only project right now in this price range that check all these boxes. If you need any further clarification or would like to visit the show flat, please do not hesitate to contact me. I'll be more than happy to share more details with you. Thank you for watching and see you next time. Bye bye.